Hello, 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 show with no namers. Can I get an amen? Now, how about a hallelujah? Yeah! Are you ready to rock? Time for liftoff. Let's go. 7,
6,
come on.
5,
4,
3,
you know it.
2, 1.
This part's easy.
0. Ignition. Liftoff. Liftoff. 30 minutes after the hour.
Get ready. Hold on to your hats. Strap on your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelts. Hold on to your hats. And get ready for the ride of your life. The show with no name time. On Vaughn Radio. Let's go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one, welcome all. It's time for another exciting edition of your favorite English extravaganza, the show with no name. What day is it? I could care less. Eso es interesante. En inglés se puede decir I could care less or I couldn't care less. Los dos significa me importa un bledo. Why? We got a job to do. I've got to teach English and you've got to learn it. That's our agreement. That's our contract here every day. But we don't just want to learn English, and I don't just want to teach English. We want to also have some fun. So we came to have fun and learn, make friends, share, laugh. And at the end of this 2 hours, hopefully, you will have learned the future perfect tense. Mira, you will have learned some totally native English. Because my claim to fame is bringing you the real stuff. The stuff we're using. Not the, my tailor is rich and my mother is in the kitchen. What the? What? What do you need that for? That's a weird one. Well, folks, welcome. We've got an amazing week ahead of us. It's my birthday week, so that makes it just a little extra special. And by the way, thank you. Thanks to all of you who sent birthday greetings for me. Tomorrow, which is my actual birthday, tomorrow we'll be hearing from you guys. And what can I say? Wow, I am totally moved, conmovido. I'm totally moved by the outpouring of love and all the birthday greetings. Honestly, I say this every day, and I really absolutely mean it 110%. You guys are awesome people. Not just awesome students, but I am proud to call you my friends. So thank you, friends. Thank you for all the birthday greetings. As I said, on tomorrow's show, which is my actual birthday, we'll be hearing from all of you. We're going to throw a party. You can guarantee it. Well, if we have a party every day on the show, just imagine on my birthday. So I'm not going to come here and have a bad time. Not today, not on my birthday, not ever, amigos. So that said, let's get ready to rock and roll with today's pop quiz. Come on. Get pumped. Motívate. Pop quiz. You need energy? I'm giving it to you. Come on. Now give it back to me. Pop quiz. Yeah. Come on. Hands up. Birthday week. We are gonna rock and roll. Pop quiz. What's it called? Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. ¿Te gustaría abrir puertas a nuevas oportunidades y estar listo para cualquier desafío? Con el máster de inglés del Grupo Vaughan podrás transformar tu futuro. Este programa intensivo te ayudará a dominar el inglés profesional, perfeccionar tu comunicación y ganar la confianza que necesitas para conseguir tus objetivos. Nuestros profesores Vaughan especializados te prepararán para afrontar en inglés todas las situaciones de comunicación en un entorno profesional. No dejes que el inglés sea una barrera. Invierte en tu futuro con el máster de inglés profesional del Grupo Vaughan. Llámanos al 91-133-5833 o entra en grupovaughan.com. More information about our masters, about our one-to-one flex, about our group classes, all that information is over at grupovon.com/cursos destacados. You'll see we've got all kinds of deals going on for the holiday season. This is a great time too. You know, a lot of the group classes are really popular because people have a week. People have 2 weeks where they can go for 4 hours a day and really, really get immersed in English. And as a teacher who has worked these classes, the group classes, we used to call them summer impact, Christmas impact, you know, or impacts. ¿Por qué? Porque es impactante. Now we call them group classes. I guess it's easier to figure out. The naming is important. But I love impact because it really sums it up. It's like a 1 week, depending if you do the 1 week or the 2 week one. It is like a hardcore session where you take your English to the next level. You kick it up a notch. Lo subes un peldaño, at least 1 notch. Apúntate esa expresión. It's totally native. To kick it up a notch, to raise the bar. So if you want more information about that course, our groups, our masters, any of our amazing initiatives, just go to grupovon.com/cursos destacados. I highly recommend everything we do. Why? Well, I don't just work for Vaughn. I'd like to think I'm a member of the Vaughn family. I like to think of, you know, Rob, Andy, Kyle, Fitz. These people are my friends and bordering on family because they're not just acquaintances. They're good friends, great friends, and great friends are the closest thing you have to family. So here at Vaughn, we're not an English academy. We're not a radio station. We're a freaking family. And I mean that. All of us who work here and those of you who listen to us every day, you are part of that family. And that's why we organize events like the pub quiz, you know, our trivia nights. That takes a lot of time to organize, to come up with the questions. Then you got to, I don't personally live in the center of Madrid, so I have to go and come back, you know, so it's quite an effort, to be honest. But you know what? When I'm there and I see my students mixing with each other, mingling es la palabra, mingling with each other and mingling with their teachers, it's all worth it. So thank you for being a part of the Vaughn family. Make sure you're following us on social media, and this way you won't miss out on anything. All right, let's see. What have we got to do in our pop quiz today? We're going to be taking a look at a book from one of the greatest authors to ever walk the planet. The book is called This Book is the Milk Too. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm not the greatest author to ever walk the planet. Well, but I figured if I added some hype, you guys would buy into it. But it really is an amazing collection. When I say collection, I'm talking about the trilogy, the Holy Trinity, if you will. I think that's sacrilegious. Yeah. Bueno, the Holy Trinity is This Book is the Milk. This Book is the Remilk, which has been renamed to This Book is the Milk 2. And my latest book, This Book is the Shit. All right. Well, folks, as always, listen carefully and we'll see what you can extract from this audio. As always, I'll have a challenge or two for you afterwards. Damian, I remember when we first met, you showed me some of your sketches and I was busting a gut. I was cracking up, partiéndome el culo de risa. You did those infomercials, those funny infomercials with Juan.
Oh, yeah, la teletienda.
Yeah.
Infomercials. Son como comerciales de información, ¿no?
Yeah, información de su producto, ¿no?
Yeah.
De interés.
De home shopping. Yeah. Hola, Juan. ¿Qué tal? Bienvenido.
Did you know I used to peddle laptops? To peddle, otra forma de decir vender laptops.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
I used to do the teletienda. I'll share the video with you guys if you want.
Yeah, I've seen that. I remember
El
now.
HP Pavilion.
Yeah, HP Pavilion.
And they were like, ¿puedes ser un poco más giddy? And I was like, okay.
More.
Esto es genial. Tiene wifi en todas partes.
That's what they wanted, right? They wanted you to speak with an accent.
Yeah. And then we had a little problem because I go, y ahora puedes consultar tu email. And the woman says, corta, cut. She goes, it's email. I go, no, it's not.
No, it's not. You want me to be more giddy, right?
I go, it's not email. I'm like, it's correo electrónico if you want me to say it in Spanish.
But
Se cayó. I'm like, don't tell me how to say it in English. But if you want, I'll say it in Spanish.
Yeah. But imagine it's like as if you said, by ferry. Nobody would understand.
Yeah.
You want to say fighty. Otherwise, people won't understand it.
That's important too.
We always have that problem in El Hormiguero when
Yeah.
they want to show something.
Mhm.
And we always have to ask them, how do you want us to pronounce it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, things are pronounced differently. They even change the titles of things. Look at Moana, you know,
yeah.
or certain cars. Mira, el Chevy Nova.
Yeah.
El Chevy Nova no va a vender en español.
Yeah, no suena bien. No, esto no va bien.
See
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's really important naming products. I love the Whisper XL and then
Yeah.
Whisper XL.
Ese que era un audífono que te ponías y podías oír una aguja a kilómetros de distancia.
A hearing aid.
A
Una
hearing
ayuda de
aid.
audición. A hearing
Ayuda.
aid.
Yes, sir.
Right? So whisper. And I love that word because it's onomatopoeic.
Yeah.
Whisper.
Whisper. Yeah. It sounds like whisper. Yeah, absolutely. And then you have the horse whisperer.
The horse whisperer, the dog whisperer, Cesar Millan.
El hombre,
César Millán.
el hombre que susurraba a los caballos.
Sure, it's a very common thing to hear now. People who talk to animals and connect with them are whisperers. And one of my favorite ones is the nicer dicer.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
nicer.
however you slice it or dice it, this was a useful product. ¿Viste lo que hice ahí?
A ver, explícalo.
Okay, so the nicer dicer. Ahora vamos a explicar eso, pero la expresión es however you slice it or dice it. Pongas como lo pongas.
Ah.
O sea, como lo troceas, como lo dices, cortar en dados.
En dados, ya, a taquito.
So, la expresión however you slice it, también se puede decir however you slice it a secas. Pero si queremos añadir énfasis, however you slice it or dice it. Y es frase perfecta de teletienda, ¿no?
Ajá. Así que tiene de juego de palabras, ¿eh? El nicer dicer.
Yeah, no,
Claro.
eso es clave. As I said, you know, I always think about these slogans, these mottos, these product names. How many people you think there are sitting around a table saying, no, la palabra debería ser esta? I mean, you know, these creative types.
Yeah, it takes long to come up with a good name.
3 lines of script, and you're like, yeah, but that gives the impression. So wording is very important.
Yeah, communicating the advantages of this product or the other. It's not that easy. You need a briefing.
It's the way something sounds as well. Like, por eso el grupo Led Zeppelin, LED se escribe plomo, L-E-A-D. Sin embargo, también en inglés es to lead, llevar o guiar. Entonces, no querían que la gente, antes de que fueran famosos, dijeran Led Zeppelin. Porque sin el contexto, lead puede ser así. Entonces dijeron, ok, ya está. LED, LED.
Yeah.
Aunque es el pasado de lead, no tiene nada que ver con plomo como debería ser. So
Mhm.
sometimes groups have changed their names, have used incorrect English
Mm.
so that people don't get mixed up, para que no se confunda la gente. So product naming, branding se dice siempre ahora.
Branding. Claro, branding, marca.
Yeah, a
marca.
brand is,
Mm.
y brand is where does it come from? Look at the cows.
Ya.
Pondrían
Ponen
su
la
marca,
marca, el sello.
Yeah, el sello, con el calor. They did it with a branding iron.
Ah.
That's where it comes from. The brand. That's my cow. That's my
Yeah.
brand.
But what's the other meaning of brand?
Marcar con
Marcar, ya,
algo
con el hierro,
caliente.
¿no?
No, tú me dices a
Ya.
mí. You're the Spanish
Es
guy.
el hierro de marcar, ya.
So
That comes
marcar con
from
hierro.
cows, yeah.
Yeah. So we can learn. Holy cow. We're learning from cows.
Holy cow.
¿Conoces Weekend Town? La nueva iniciativa de Vaughan.
Pues no.
Es un fin de semana de inmersión en inglés. Y es nuevísimo.
A ver, cuéntame más.
Tendrás una inmersión lingüística total durante 2 días. Un total de 24 horas hablando con angloparlantes de todo el mundo.
¡Wow! ¡Qué interesante!
Ganarás confianza y soltura a la hora de comunicarte en inglés. Mejorarás tu comprensión auditiva y tus habilidades conversacionales en una situación de comunicación real en inglés. Ven a Weekend Town y te sorprenderás con todo lo que puede avanzar tu inglés en un fin de semana. Weekend Town de Vaughan. Un fin de semana de inmersión en inglés. As I said, check it out. Weekend Town, Vaughan Town, they are 2 of our star programs. And if you can experience them, I would definitely do it. Don't hesitate. No dudes. You can get more information at grupovon.com/cursos destacados. And if you're looking for materials like the one we looked at in today's pop quiz, you can go to vontienda.com. Today we're looking at something from this book, Is the Milk 2? And, well, here's what I want to see what you got from here. Now, you can be creative today. I want you to be creative every day. But the first one, I want you to tell me a totally native way of saying partirse de la risa, que algo es muy gracioso, algo es graciosísimo. So I don't want you to say really funny. Y acordaos, fun, divertido. Funny, gracioso. Fun, divertido, funny, gracioso. No es lo mismo, right? So, what's another way of saying somebody or something is funny? We've got a lot of ways to say it. We've got a lot of adjectives. And of course, we've got a lot of idiomatic expressions as well. So be creative. Always be creative. But today, even more so. All right? So, algo es muy gracioso o te partes con algo. That is number 1 in today's pop quiz. Number 2. We're looking at some childhood games today because we were talking about whispers. You remember the whisper XL? Well, also, aside from whisper, there's also a game, a childhood game called Chinese Whispers. What do you call it in Spanish? Chinese Whispers. Operadora. Sometimes you can call it the telephone game, the operator, or Chinese Whispers. And it's a classic game. I'm sure you guys, in fact, I know you play it here. Basically, what happens is you're sitting in a circle and somebody whispers something in somebody's ear. Then they whisper it in the next person's ear, and they whisper it in the next person's ear. And you got to see if by the time the message goes around the circle, if the same message comes back. We call it Chinese whispers. Chinese whispers. So I figured today, since I said we're going to have some fun, we're going to play, we could take a look at some classic games. I want to see if you know these. Now, if you've listened to the FYI episode on classic games, there's an FYI episode where we go over all these games, el escondite, right? And things like that. So that's the first one. The second one, el escondite. That's number 2. Okay? Use it in context. Me gusta jugar. Siempre tengo que mear cuando juego el escondite. Isn't that true? That's a universal thing, I think. You know, once you're in your great spot, you realize, oh, damn it, I've got to piss. Shit. So that's a universal thing. I think it comes from being nervous, from hiding. All right, so number 2, el escondite. And number 3, el pilla pilla. That's right. Now, these are words that unless you kind of grow up somewhere, you don't know these games, but they're universal, I think, because el escondite, ¿quién no lo juega? Ahora, no saber cómo se llama en inglés, but we're going to look at that today. Maybe you know it. Again, if you listen to the FYI episode on kids' games, it'll not only bring you back, it'll take you on a trip down memory lane, give you some nostalgia, but also you'll learn, especially if you have kids. It's really good to know how, at least what these games are called. I know you know how to play them because they're universal. And what better way to learn than by playing, right? We all learn when we're playing. I notice when I'm, reviewing vocabulary with my daughter, she's like, yeah, whatever, I'm not interested. The moment I'm like, all right, let's see who knows this word. Now it's a game. And who doesn't want to play a game? So, number 1, when something or someone is really funny, how could you say this in a totally native way? Number 2, el escondite. Again, you can tell us about it. Nunca he jugado. No he jugado muchos años. Express it however you want. No me gusta jugar el escondite. Right? And the last one, el pilla pilla, you call it. The catch? No, no se llama eso en inglés. The catch. Let's see, I'll test you on some. While you guys are figuring those out, mientras estáis con ellos, I'll test you. All right, how do you say rayuela? These you don't have to write. These you can just tell me. All right, I already gave you Chinese whispers. Rayuela is hopscotch. Hopscotch. To hop es saltar. So hopscotch. Then you've got Simon Says. Do you call it Simon Says? This is when you have to do what somebody says, but only when you say Simon Says. So Simon says, touch your nose. This is a great way to learn because you're doing actions. Simon says, lick your lips. Simon says, wink your eye. Snap your fingers. And if you do it, well, you're eliminated because Simon didn't say. Y ahí practicamos también el says. Simon says. All right. You got musical chairs. I think you call it the same. No, asientos o sillas musical. This is where you play music and you eliminate a chair every round, and there's always somebody who's left standing. You've got dodgeball. Me encanta ese. Esquiva balón. Balón prisionero, you call it. Dodge. Bueno, de ahí aprendemos la palabra esquivar. Dodge. What about the classic rock, paper, scissors? Oh, man. Or marbles. Marbles. Canicas, you call them? Marbles. You've got duck, duck, goose. Do you know duck, duck, goose? Duck, 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 duck. You go, kids are sitting in a circle, and you pat the kids on the head, and you say duck, 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 duck. And when you say goose, you have to run around the circle And you have to sit in that person's seat before they tag you. Antes de que te pillan. Did I just give you a clue for the pilla pilla example? Possibly. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a quick commercial break. More fun and games when we come back. So, if I were you, I wouldn't even think of going anywhere. Stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back to part 2 of today's show with no name. We're looking at games today. Why not? You know? Who doesn't like to play a game? Well, maybe a sore loser. Un mal perdedor. Some other games. Classic ones, universal ones. What do you call it when you play with your thumbs? Los pulgares. Guerra de dedos? We say thumb wrestling. You want to thumb wrestle? Thumb es pulgar. Wrestle es hacer pressing catch, luchar. You've got checkers. Those require a board, but it's a classic one. Una tabla, a board. De hecho, se llaman board games. No se llaman juegos de mesa, sino juegos de tabla. You got checkers, you got chess, Monopoly, Risk, Clue. You say Clue, though. Oh, and the one that looks like a star with the marbles, we call those Chinese checkers. And what about tic-tac-toe? All you need is a pen for that one, or not even. You can do it in the sand. Mi hija y yo lo hacemos en la arena. Tic-tac-toe is tres en raya. So, all right, my amigos, but before we take a look at your answers from our pop quiz, let's take a look at today's Say What soundbite. Say what? What? All right, amigos. Today we have a very special Say What soundbite. Why? Well, today it feels like I'm taking a trip down memory lane. Maybe it's because I'm getting old. My birthday's tomorrow. You know, I'm starting to reminisce. A man in love with his memories. Well, this is from one of my favorite movies. And around the same time, I remember playing tic-tac-toe, hangman. ¿Os acordáis de hangman? Esa es buena para palabras. Expresiones en inglés. Esto es cuando pones el hombre y le cuelgas. Tienes que elegir letras. Hangman. It's a great one to play when you're at a restaurant, and you're waiting for your food. My mom always used to bring a pen, and we would play hangman. We would play tic-tac-toe, and then I would go home and watch this movie. So today we're getting a little glimpse, ojeada, into the life of the 5-year-old Alberto. All right, is everybody ready? I'm going to give you the Say What soundbite. Here it is for the first time. Now, today, sometimes it's just one person. Today, it's a conversation. So, good luck. Let's see if you can follow along.
You were the ones that sent me the fruitcake for Christmas. It made me so sick.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought you enjoyed fruitcake.
You enjoy throwing up every 5 minutes, Claude?
Clark.
I thought so. Whew. Well, am I going to eat or am I going to starve to death?
All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I freaking love this movie. And I'll never forget this. I saw this movie probably, let's say 50 to 100 times. And I've only seen the ending about 10. Wait, what? How is that possible? Well, you guys remember when you used to record things on VHS? Grababas algo en un VHS? Is anybody old like me? And what happened if it couldn't fit on the tape? Well, you couldn't record the rest of it. So my parents recorded this movie, and it was missing the last 4 or 5 minutes of the movie. And I remember thinking, oh, shit, man, there it is again. But I still loved the movie. And once I knew the ending, I said, okay, well, the ending is cool, but really, the movie is just full of these amazing little moments. And it's a classic, definitely an American classic. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here's your Say What soundbite for the second time.
You were the ones that sent me the fruitcake for Christmas. It made me so sick.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought you enjoyed fruitcake.
You enjoy throwing up every 5 minutes, Claude?
Clark.
I thought so. Whew. Well, am I going to eat or am I going to starve to death?
Hey, Damian, what's crack-a-lackin', buddy?
Hey, Alberto, I was planning to do some sports this week. What about playing baseball?
Ooh, baseball. I love it. But I'm not sure yet. Can we touch base next week?
Touch base. Estamos en contacto, ¿no? Hablamos en algún momento. Yeah, okay. Let's touch base. Okay, what about basketball? Do you want to play basketball?
Oh, man, I love basketball. It's one of my favorite sports. But I don't know if I can this weekend because I've already got plans. Oh, man, that's the way the ball bounces.
That's the way the ball bounces. Así están las cosas, ¿no? Así bota la pelota. Así bota la pelota. That's the way the ball bounces. I love that expression. Okay, what about tennis? Do you want to play tennis?
Well, I love tennis, but I'm not really a good player. If you don't mind playing with a novice, the ball's in your court, buddy.
La bola está en mi campo, ¿eh? La pelota está en mi tejado. All right. Do you want to play some soccer?
Sure, I'd love to play some soccer or football, as you call it. What time do we kick off?
Perfect. We're kicking off at 9. Are you available?
Sure, but I might have to play some golf before with some friends. It's par for the course.
It's par for the course. Es lo normal, ¿no? Es lo normalito, lo que se hace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about billiards? Do you like playing billiards?
Yeah, but right now I'm behind the 8 ball.
I'm behind the 8 ball. Estás detrás de la bola 8, como que llevas las de perder.
Yeah. Wow, a lot of idiomatic expressions here.
Muy buenas expresiones. Si es que así de gusto aprender inglés con un profe como Alberto y un poquito de creatividad, tienes This Book is the Shit. El mejor libro para aprender inglés que te has echado a la cara in your life. Píllatelo, vas a disfrutar mogollón de dibujos para que lo aprendas todo fácil, con conexiones lógicas y divertidas. Es la manera más sencilla y más divertida de aprender inglés. No te la pierdas.
Damián, you're such a good sport. Te enrollas. You can pick up your copy of This Book is the Shit at
Vaughantienda.com.
It's the Shit. No doubt about it, folks. And speaking of my books, in today's pop quiz, we're taking a look at something from the second book in the trilogy. This book is The Milk 2. And by the way, a nice round of applause for everybody who's participating. Wow, so many people eager to learn English. Doesn't matter what day it is, what time of day. And that's a shout out to those of you who aren't here live. I know sometimes it can be thankless. Do you know this word? Thankless. It's not rewarding, right? Because if you're here and I say, hey, great job, you, great job, the other one, you're hearing your name. It's positive reinforcement. But let me just be clear here. When I say keep up the great work, Chris, or keep up the great work, Born to Iron Man, or whoever, I'm saying it to all of you. So keep up the great work, Show with No Namers, wherever, however you tune in. All right, let's take a look at some pop quiz answers over here. We already said looking at ways to say that something or someone is funny. You can say funny, and you can always add really to something. Lo recomiendo en vez del very. ¿Por qué? Porque muchos dicen very. So forget about very and just say really. So if you don't know what to say, quiero decir que es muy. He's really funny. What about he's a riot? Yeah, a riot is a public disturbance. But also it means you crack up, right? Y la expresión me parto contigo empieza con la persona, la otra persona. So you don't say I crack up with you. You can say that. I crack up with you. You can, but it would be much more normal to say you crack me up. It rolls off your tongue better, right? You crack me up. Me parto. Man, last night I was cracking up. It was a gas. Remember we looked at that in Jumpin' Jack Flash? It's a gas, gas, gas. He's not talking about gasolina. Un buen rato, unas risas. It's a gas, right? I know we've looked at that one, actually not too long ago. And we'll see that. Words come up from time to time, right? Another one we use is hilarious. Man, seguro que os suena. Man, he's hilarious. That was hilarious. We say a lot hysterical. And I know in Spanish, hysterical has another meaning. You know, you're losing your mind. Whoa, estás un poco histérico. In English, if I say you're hysterical, it means you crack me up. You're a riot. You're hilarious. Your jokes are side splitting. Side splitting. Piénsalo. Me parte los latos de reírme tanto. Right? Side splitting. Your jokes are knee slappers. Have you ever heard this one? Oh, man, that was a knee slapper. Piensa, cuando te gusta un chiste, haces y te das en la rodilla. A knee slapper. Did you know that one? That's a totally native one right there. Okay. Comical. That's good, but sometimes when we talk about comical, it's more like farsa. No, this is quite comical. You know, wow, no me esperaba esto. It's a good one. I love this one, witty. Witty is when you mix humor and intellect and timing. O sea, witty, it's not just being funny. It's being funny at the right time with the right words. Perfect. Oh, that was witty. Ingenioso. Witty. Entertaining. Sure. he was entertaining, man. He's really entertaining. He's a riot. He's a gas. All right. And I'm trying to think. As I said before, to bust a gut. All of this started with the one in the audio. To bust a gut is romperse el lomo. Piénsalo, side splitting. Entonces, your side is tu lomo también, right? Echar al resto, to bust a gut. It means, to bust a gut laughing. To bust a gut, I would say, ves, esto no estoy de acuerdo. I would say, man, I'm breaking my back here. Romper el lomo, la espalda, yo diría. Right? Esforzarse demasiado. To bust a gut, y es la segunda, pero yo lo usaría como la primera, is desternillarse de risa. Hey, I didn't know that one. Man, we busted a gut. All right. Another way, we were in stitches. You know stitches? Si te ponen puntos, you got stitches. If you're in stitches, it means you're cracking up. So great job, guys. We got a lot of synonyms there. A lot of different ways to say that something or someone is funny, amusing. Esa es muy buena. También se usa bastante con el tono irónico. This is amusing. I'm not amused. Great vocabulary. All right, number 2. We said el escondite. I still play hide and seek. De ahí cogemos la palabra hide. Es un verbo irregular. Every day I hide. Yesterday I hid. And lately did you say hidden? It's hidden. Hidden. Okay? Que es la palabra, el adjetivo oculto. Escondido. So hide, hid, hidden. Hide and seek. Y seek también es súper irregular. Every day I seek the truth, busco la verdad. Yesterday tu turno, I sought the truth. And lately I've sought the truth. So hide and seek. That's right. And how did my daughter learn that el escondite in English is hide and seek? From playing it. Okay, your turn to hide. And then you practice counting and counting down. 10, 9, 8. So, great. You can really learn from everything. I've been looking at that. Did you know the word seek? A lo mejor sí, porque vosotros sois de un nivel bastante alto, pero, seek is a big word para un chaval. Pero ¿cómo lo aprende? Pues de su primer juego. Hide and seek. So there you go. And I see here in the comments, I'm not the only one who has to pee when he hides. That's my problem. I find the best hiding spot. See, a hiding spot, lugar. And then I can't hold it. To hold it is aguantar el pis, right? Yeah. Well, at least I'm not alone. Now I know I'm not alone. So hide and seek. And the last one is el pilla is tag. I said it before. Remember I said something about tag? You also have freeze tag. Freeze tag is cuando se tienen que congelar en su sitio. So there are different variations. You even have laser tag. Esto es más moderno. Y no teníamos... Bueno, justo cuando yo era un chaval se empezó a ver el laser tag con láseres, ¿no? And this is where you shoot at people. You play tag, but with lasers. And we continue to play tag when we get into the business world. That's right. Well, anybody who communicates with anybody via phone has played phone tag, right? Tell me you haven't played phone tag and you're not human. We've all done it. Phone tag. All right. I call you. You don't pick it up. No problem. You were in the bathroom. You didn't see it. So you see it. You call me back. I don't pick it up because I didn't see it. So I call you back. Still no answer. So you call me back. And finally, when we get through to each other, cuando conseguimos comunicar uno con el otro, when we get through to each other, we say, man, we've been playing phone tag. Y estamos aquí jugando al pía pía del teléfono. So there you go, my amigos. Ah, y la frase. Tag, you're it. No? You're it. Again, the best way to learn this vocabulary is by actually doing it, by actually playing. I'm very lucky. My daughter reminds me to play every single day. All right, amigos, we've got a lot of stuff to cover over here. So we're going to do a very challenging section right now. Our most challenging section day after day, our spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. That's right. That's right. It's our spelling bee here on the show with no name. And as always, this is not for the faint of heart. No apto para cardíacos. Especially round one. All right, here we go. The first one. Let's capitalize the first letter of each word. Here we go. Number one. CHANNEL space TUNNEL space FIRE. The second one is HEAVY space GOODS space VEHICLES. The third one, FRANCE. The fourth one, UNITED space KINGDOM. The fifth one, COQUELLES. And the sixth and final one, FOLKESTONE. There you go, my amigos. I know I went fast, but I always do in round one of our spelling bee. So let me just give you a second or two to see if anybody got these on the first go. Kind of long today. These are pretty long, these words here. And I think, at least in my opinion, I went really, really fast. But that's the idea. Plus, you had background noise, right? We heard some kind of siren going off in the background. All right. Going once, going twice. This is round two. Here we go. The first one is CHANNEL space TUNNEL space FIRE. The second one is HEAVY space GOODS space VEHICLES. Oof. The third one, FRANCE. The fourth one is UNITED space KINGDOM. The fifth one, COQUELLES. And the last one is FOLKESTONE. And I see we've got some people who got them while I was reading the second one. Great job. Excellent job, my amigos. This was sadly about fire. If you haven't figured it out, it was about a blaze. A blaze is another way of saying a big fire, right? And so today, in the year 1996, a fire occurred, or estallar, broke out. A fire broke out on a train that was traveling through the Channel Tunnel that connects France and the United Kingdom, right? So number one in our spelling bee, the Channel Tunnel fire. I'm sure you guys, especially being Europeans, and if you're around my age, you probably remember this incident when it was in the news. I think I do now, but I heard about it on the news in the United States, right? Because I wasn't living here yet. But I remember it made international news. I mean, it was a big deal, let's say, una gran cosa. So number one was Channel Tunnel fire. Number two was heavy goods vehicles. Now, what happened was a train that was traveling through the Channel Tunnel from France to England caught on fire. It broke out on fire, and it was carrying heavy goods vehicles. So you know those trains that transport big vehicles? That was one of those. And, well, number three was France. It was going to England from France. You can say it was England bound. Eso es una forma de decir destino a, lo oirás mucho en aeropuertos o en estaciones de tren. This is a Brooklyn bound A train, right? Con destino a. So France was number three. United Kingdom was number four. Coquelles, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. That's where you get this tunnel in France. Coquelles. Coquelle. I'm going to try and say it like a French person. Coquelle? Yes, that's the way you say it. Don't quote me on that. And it ends up in Folkestone, England. And that was number 6 in our spelling bee. So congrats to all of you who got it. You are on fire. Pun intended. Pun intended, que quise hacer la gracia. Si no decimos no pun intended. Folks, we'll be right back with tons more. So stick around. Hey amigos, welcome back. It's time for part 3 of today's show with no name, or the second half, whatever you want to call it. Thank you so much for joining us today and every day. It is an absolute pleasure to have such amazing students. And you know what? Even though tomorrow's my birthday, and I have to work on my birthday, you say the same thing, cae, right? It falls on a weekday. Tenemos el mismo uso de caer. Cae en un miércoles, ¿no? Igual. So my birthday this week falls on a Tuesday. Who cares? I'm ready to party today. If you haven't noticed, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to have some fun. And tomorrow we'll be hearing from you with some very heartwarming I mean, seriously, you guys didn't make my day. You made my month. And you really, it's good practice too. Learning how to, hey, happy birthday, to many more, all these things. Tienen su aquel, right? I remember when my grandma passed. Muchos dijisteis, I'm sorry for your loss. Y digo, mira, hasta en el funeral de mi abuela puedo enseñar. Porque no es I'm sorry for your loss. Sería your loss, right? Tu pérdida, L-O-S-S. And I remember a lot of people were, they were giving me their condolences. So it's good to know how to, weddings, birthdays, funerals, these things we all have in common. Childhood games, gotta know them. Especially if your inner child is alive and kicking like mine. All right, folks, time for a challenge. It's time for Homophones on the Show with No Name.
Homophones on the show with no name. It's homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. Homophones on the show with no name. Cause homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name.
All right, amigos, homophones. I'm 100% sure you know the first word. 100%. I'll bet my life on it. Second word, I'm not so sure. But we'll see if you know that second word and if you know if it sounds like the first word. The first word is hola. No, not hello. Pero sí, saludar. Hola. Eso sí. O sea, no es hola. That's interesting, isn't it? No es con H. Pero hola, una ola en el mar, right? We're talking about that one over there. Okay, pero también es saludar. Gesto de saludar con la mano. Y no es solo hola. Puede ser, ¿no? Porque te estás ahogando, ¿no? Es mover, saludar. And if you think about it, I mean, puede ser hola, adiós, ayúdame, but the verb is the same as saluda, okay? So it's a good one to remember. It's like, specific words like that. A dog doesn't move his tail, not in English. Se mueve el rabito, el perro. No, not move. Do you know it in English? To wag. A dog wags its tail. Okay, so these little things. They're kind of similar, but it's got its own word here. All right, so this word is hola, gesticular, saludar, decir hola, ¿no? Con la mano. Also, oleada, hola. It's got a lot of meanings because then, of course, you can add phrasal verbs to it. And then we've got a really rich word here. And I know you know that first word. Now, the second word is no aplicar, dispensar, okay? Prescindir de, no exigir, renunciar, I think might be a good one, okay? So, voy a renunciar mis honorarios. Porque este proyecto, okay, how would I say that? Okay. También lo decimos mucho con derechos, ¿no? Pues el momento que haces, mira, el ejemplo en español, el sospechoso dispensó su derecho de tener un abogado presente durante el interrogatorio policial. I told you it was a harder word. So the first word, hola, saludar, hola, una ola, como una ola, that, okay? And the second one is dispensar, no aplicar, si se refiere a una ley, o un requisito es prescindir de, no exigir, okay? Si te vas al gimnasio, dice, you know what, we have a special this month and we're going to renunciar, vamos a no exigir the membership, registration, ¿no? Lo que es la matrícula. That'll happen. So that would be a case of that. All right. So those are your homophones. Let me give you your Say What soundbite again. And let's see if you guys can get some of this conversation from an amazing movie.
You were the ones that sent me the fruitcake for Christmas. It made me so sick.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought you enjoyed fruitcake.
You enjoy throwing up every 5 minutes, Claude?
Clark.
I thought so. Whew. Well, am I going to eat or am I going to starve to death?
All right, there it is for the third time, and I'm going to give it to you for the fourth and final time. Is everybody ready? Here we go.
You were the ones that sent me the fruitcake for Christmas. It made me so sick.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought you enjoyed fruitcake.
You enjoy throwing up every 5 minutes, Claude?
Clark.
I thought so. Whew. Well, am I going to eat or am I going to starve to death?
Howdy, Richard Vaughn here, founder and host of Vaughn Radio. Meet my amazing team.
Hello there, this is Julia from the Let's Get Random show. Let's navigate life together, practicing our English.
Hi, this is Kyle Miller. I present the Drive Time Show every day at 6 o'clock on Vaughn Radio.
Hi, this is Jimena,
Y yo soy Nacho.
and you can listen to us every day on Test Your English
A las 12:30.
at 12:30. Tune in!
This is Fitz from No Excuses. Let's get ready to rumble. Come rumble with me on No Excuses.
This is Chris with Frankly Speaking. The doors open every night at 7:30. Let's talk soon.
Hi, this is Dave Boyes from The Salad. Join us every day, live at 5.
Hey, it's Alberto Alonso from the show with no name. And don't forget about Rob, Andy, Ruby, and Tino.
Download our free app, Vaughn Radio or Vaughn Radio, and learn English with all of us on the go.
That's right, folks. Download the free app, and then you can take Vaughn Radio with you wherever, whenever, as Shakira would say. All right, a nice round of applause here for our show with no namers. Our homophones, everybody said the words sound the same. Are you sure? All right, well, let's see. So the first one is a wave. There are a lot of waves at the beach. I like to wave at my friends when they drive by, right? Wave, dependiendo. Acuérdate, tiene muchos usos este wave. But in general, wave hello, wave goodbye, wave for help, right? It's to move your arms. A flag waves. Piensa, ondear, right? Moverse. So a waving flag, right? And I'll tell you something. These are homophones, by the way, so great job. When I was a kid, and I heard the expression, well, if you do that, you will waive your rights. En mi cabeza era wave con la mano. Yo no sabía que tenía una I de más. So for me, that word was spelt exactly the same until I saw it, and I said, what? Are you kidding me? Wait, oh, so it's not spelled the same. But when you hear it, they sound exactly the same. That's why they're homophones. So the suspect waived his right, es regular. He waved, igual que wave con la mano. O sea, ambos son regulares. So they sound the same no matter where you put them. He waived his right to have a solicitor present. ¿No? Dispensó, no aplicó su derecho, right? The lawyer waived his fee for the case. To waive your fee. And if you know the word, maybe you've heard the word waiver. A waiver is una dispensa, okay? Exención, dispensa, okay? The employer asked the new recruit to sign a waiver confirming she was happy to work more than 48 hours a week. What did she do there? She waived her right to a normal work week, right? To waive. So I know you know the first word. Now you know the second word. It's pronounced exactly the same. There you go. Great job, amigos. All right, we are movie bound. Rumbo al cine. Name that movie. All right. right, amigos. Well, we got two. Today is really a special show because the movie we're looking at now is awesome. The one we're looking at in our Say What soundbite is awesome as well. And both of them have like lines that people repeat, like popular, famous movie lines. So we're talking about two classics today, modern classics, right? Because it's not the Hollywood heyday at apogeo 1950s. I'm talking about our modern classics. All right, here we go. Here is the synopsis. All hell breaks loose. Toma expresión, me encanta. Ahora vamos a ello. All hell breaks loose when the Burns family meets the Fokker family for the first time. Hi. Ay, te lo acabo de básicamente. I gave it away. Te lo soplé. Right? To give it away. Dártelo, regalártelo. Right? En vez de soplar, we say te lo regalé, te lo di, ¿no? So all hell breaks loose. Se lía la gorda. Okay? If all hell breaks loose, todo lo que está en el infierno se escapa. O sea, se ha liado una gorda aquí. When he gets home and finds out you crashed his car, all hell is going to break loose. Se va a liar una gordísima. So all hell breaks loose when the Burns family, now you say Los Simpson, we say the Simpsons. So nosotros siempre una S ahí. Los Alonso, no, the Alonsos. En inglés, la S sí que lo ponemos. And so all hell breaks loose when the Burns family meets, I was going to say finally meets, he puesto un finally, pero debería, finally meets the Fokker family for the first time. And the movie is Meet the Fokkers. Los padres de él. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It loses something in Spanish, you know? So the first one is Meet the Parents, right? And well, this one, I personally love this one too. I love all these movies. You said Los Follen. What do they call them in Spanish? Que Les Follen is his last name or something? In English, it's Greg or Gaylord Fokker. Not Fucker, Fokker. De ahí todos los chistes. And in this movie, there's a famous line. Oh, he's a handsome little Fokker. So many great lines. And then that chemistry between Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro. Man, it's great. He can't stand them. So let's take a look at it. The scene from the movie Meet the Fokkers. Again, what a great cast, too. Vaya reparto. We're talking about Ben Stiller. We're talking about Robert De Niro, Blythe Danner, Barbara Streisand. Ooh, Barbara Streisand. Barbara Streisand. We're talking about, what's his name? Dustin Hoffman, Owen Wilson, el hermano con la nariz rota, el rubio, right? So we're talking about a really good cast here. Let's take a look at the scene. Jack Burns, y fíjate, su nombre tiene sentido. Le quema al otro. He burn, aunque se escribe con Y, makes sense, right? He's always burning Fokker. So Jack Burns says, I don't care if they did call you Larry Poppins. You are completely unfit to handle a child. Me da igual si te llamaban Larry Poppins en vez de Mary Poppins. You're completely unfit, no eres apto para manejar un niño, ¿no? To handle, aguantar, soportar, cuidar a child. And then Greg says, it was Barry Poppins. Me llamaban Barry Poppins. And Jack says, what kind of sick cocktail were you going to make my grandson? ¿Qué tipo de cóctel retorcido le ibas a hacer a mi nieto? Grandson, granddaughter, grandchildren, si hablamos de los dos. And Roz says, Jack, the baby's teething. Teething es que le están saliendo los dientes. Okay? It's not teething, it's teething. It's a different sound because teeth, right? Teething. So it's a little bit different. Just be careful. Jack, the baby's teething. I told Greg to give him some rum to ease the pain. Le dije a Greg que le diera ron para aliviar el dolor, to ease the pain. And Jack says, It was your idea? No, la pregunta, whose idea was it? It was your idea? ¿Fue tu idea? And Roz says, yeah. And Jack says, what is wrong with you people? ¿Qué os pasa a vosotros? And Bernie says, you people? Como diciendo que los judíos? Because he's like, you people? And Dinah says, Jack, I used to rub bourbon on Denny's gums. Yo antes le echaba whiskey a las encías de Denny. ¿No? And Jack says, yeah, and look what happened to him. Y mira cómo acabó él. Greg, you couldn't follow a simple set of instructions. No podías seguir un set de instrucciones. And Greg says, Jack, he was screaming. So I went in and I gave him a little attention, okay? And Jack says, he's learning to self-soothe. To soothe es relajar, auto-relajarse. He says, these setbacks, estos inconvenientes, are disastrous for his development, su desarrollo. And Roz says, the child is adorable, but you're not raising little Buddha over here. No es un pequeño Buddha. And Greg says, Mom. And Jack says, what are you saying? So they're having a heated argument. And Roz says, I'm saying that I have seen that kid eat at least 15 boogers, mocos, since he's been here. And I've got news for you, Jack. Y tengo algo que decirte, Jack. Sorpresa. Prodigies don't eat their own boogers. Los niños especiales estos no comen sus propios mocos. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome movie. Meet the Fockers. Now it's time for famous birthday trivia. That's right. It's famous birthdays only on the show with no name. And as always, this is where we take a look at who's celebrating a birthday today. As you know, we'll be celebrating mine tomorrow, so don't miss the show, because more importantly, we're going to hear from all of you guys, and it's a lot of love on tomorrow's show. I cannot guarantee that I won't get choked up. To get choked up is emocionarse. Well, you guys said some beautiful things. All right, but let's focus. Today's birthday boys. Number one, born in 1968, this American actor and comedian has a famous brother as well. He's blonde with a broken nose, and his brother is a brown-haired guy. This guy was in The Royal Tenenbaums, Rushmore, The Darjeeling Limited, The Grand Budapest Hotel. He was also in Meet the Fockers and Meet the Parents. Hey, wait, did I mention him before? Yeah. When I was mentioning the all-star cast, I mentioned this guy. He plays the ex-boyfriend. Number two, born today in 1962, an American guitarist, songwriter, and member of the metal band Metallica. All right. He's been the lead guitarist, of the band since 1983. Before that, he was in the band Exodus, and I think probably one of the most respected guitarists out there. I mean, you don't have to like Metallica, but they have stood the test of time. Han perdurado. And speaking of standing the test of time, this American actress had a career that spanned decades. And I mean decades and decades, from the 40s to the 90s. And, well, when I discovered her, she was older, naturally. She died in 2001. I'll always remember her as Aunt Edna. Aunt Edna in National Lampoon's Vacation. Great, great movie there. It's a comedy, but she's done it all. But for me, she'll always be the cranky cascarrabias Aunt Edna. You know the movies with Chevy Chase, Los de Vacaciones de una Americana Familia Chiflada. Ella es la tía pesada. All right, today's famous birthdays are Owen Wilson. Number 2, from Metallica, Kirk Hammett. And number 3, Imogene Coca. Imogene Coca. And that'll bring us to our Say What soundbite. This is Imogene Coca and Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo in a scene from National Lampoon's Vacation, the movie that I only saw the end of 5 times, 10 times, but I've seen the movie a million. Just goes to show you the ending isn't always the movie. If the movie's great, it's great. And Aunt Edna says, "You're the ones who sent me the fruitcake for Christmas." Fruitcake es esta con la fruta escarchada, right? So you're the ones who sent me the fruitcake for Christmas. It made me so sick. Me puse malísima con eso. And then Ellen says, "Oh, I'm sorry. We thought you enjoyed fruitcake." She's her niece, su sobrina. And she says, "Do you enjoy throwing up every 5 minutes, Claude? ¿Te gusta vomitar cada 5 minutos, Claude?" Se llama Clark, pero no le llama Clark, el personaje de Chevy Chase. She calls him Claude. And he corrects her and he says, "Clark." And then Aunt Edna says, "I thought so. Es lo que pensaba yo." She says, "Whew, well, am I going to eat or am I going to starve to death? ¿Voy a comer o me vais a dejar aquí morirme de hambre?" Here she is, birthday girl Imogene Coca playing Aunt Edna.
You were the ones that sent me the fruitcake for Christmas. It made me so sick.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought you enjoyed fruitcake.
You enjoy throwing up every 5 minutes, Claude?
Clark.
I thought so. Whew. Well, am I going to eat or am I going to starve to death?
Hi, hello, Alberto. I think the song is. No? Sorry, bye.
Name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. Name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. It's name that lyric only on the show with no name.
Yeah, that's right. It's Name That Lyric only on the show with no name. And today's song is Metallica. Of course, you knew we were going to look at Metallica today. The song is The Memory Remains, but the memory remains. Se queda el recuerdo. Hey, I was reminiscing today about childhood games, childhood movies. Let's take a look at the lyrics. Fortune, fame, mirror, vain, vanidoso, vain, right? Fortune, fame, mirror, vain, gone insane, or vuelto loco, but the memory remains. And then he says, heavy rings on fingers wave. Hey, we looked at the word wave today. Heavy rings on fingers wave, another star denies the grave. I've got to say this, and I've said this every time we look at Metallica songs. Metallica is pretty deep, right? Their song lyric. If you want to learn good English, seriously, Metallica is a great way to learn because their lyrics are even, I would say, poetic. You know, I know you look at them, you're like, oh, it's probably, no. Their lyrics are really, really good, well-written lyrics. And I don't think it's that difficult to understand. Maybe some of the older stuff that's more thrash metal, but I think you guys shouldn't have too much difficulty with this one. It's called The Memory Remains. You can Google it. It's Metallica, and I love this tune. Folks, we'll be back in a moment with the fourth and final part of today's show. I got a special surprise for you, giving you an exclusive listen of the bonus episode of FYI on Fire. All that and much more when we come back.
Rings on the fingers wave, another star denies the grave. See the nowhere crown through the nowhere shield of honor.
hello, and welcome to the bonus episode of today's FYI. We are on fire, baby. Another way to say on fire is we are on a roll. And I got to say to all my patrons, you guys are really kicking butt. I couldn't be prouder. Keep up the great work. What is a teacher's greatest reward? Seeing his students motivated, seeing that spark, that glimmer in the student's eye. And I see it in all of you. So keep up the great work. Let's start off with that phrasal verb. How do we say apagar un incendio o apagar un fuego? Did you say to put off? No, to put off is aplazar. It's to put out. And we primarily looked at house fires before in the first part. But as I said, we're going to take a look at other kinds. Don't forget about forest fires or wildfires. We already looked at the idiomatic expression to spread like wildfire. But what about factory fires? Those have been notorious throughout history because they're usually attributed to poor working conditions, negligence on behalf of the employer. So we'll take a look at the different kinds and how to put them out, because you don't put all fires out with water. You could exacerbate it and make it worse. As the expression goes, to add fuel to the fire. This means to make a bad situation even worse. He's having a bad day. Don't add fuel to the fire. Your first kind is called ordinary or Class A fires. This consists of solid materials such as wood or paper, fabric, and even some plastics. The way to put out a Class A fire is water or smothering. Again, I'm not an expert, so make sure you look this stuff up on your own. But are you familiar with the word to smother? To smother is aplastar. We don't just use it in the sense of a fire. Some parents smothered their children. They're what we call helicopter parents. They're on top of them, smothering them. So do you get the idea behind smother? Just think of it, an easy way to remember it. His mother likes to smother him. Next up, we've got Class B, which is liquids or gases, such as alcohol, ether, gasoline, or grease, a grease fire, as we mentioned in the first part. And do not add water to these to put them out. No way. These are exclusively put out by smothering. Class C is an electrical failure from appliances, electronic equipment, and or wiring. And to put this out, you have to use non-conductive chemicals. So chemicals that cannot conduct electricity. It makes sense if it's an electrical failure. Class D is metallic substances. Substances such as sodium, titanium, or magnesium. And to put these fires out, they use a dry powder agent. That's why you'll see a lot of laboratories have a very different first aid kit, at least when it comes to fires. And kitchens, too. You'll see they have their special equipment that they need for those kind of fires, which in a kitchen can tend to be a grease fire. And that brings us to Class K, which is grease or oil fires, specifically from cooking. We can have grease or oil fires from our car in the garage, but Class K is specifically from cooking. And those you would put out by smothering them or using a wet chemical. Again, I'm not an expert, but I found this information on a firefighter's website. Let's take a look at the types of burns. And let's be careful with the word, too. No, it's barn, it's burn. Imagine the U as an E. Well, we've got our first-degree burn, which only affects the outer layer of the skin. These kind of burns can cause pain, redness, and swelling. I think we've all had one of these possibly. The next one is a second-degree burn, which affects both the outer and underlying layer of the skin. So now we're getting a little bit deeper here. This causes pain, redness, swelling, so that's the same as the first one, but now we're adding blistering. I think a blister is una ampolla in Spanish. And your worst one, third-degree burns. And these affect the deep layers of the skin. Gladly, I don't think I've experienced either a second or a third-degree burn in my life. I have to say, though, my fingers are made of asbestos. Well, for many years in New York City, I worked in restaurants, bars, kitchens, and you were always handling hot plates. My first job was at a pizzeria, so I was always putting things into an oven and taking things out of an oven. You can imagine I have scars, but I never got a serious burn, thankfully. I consider them battle scars. Either way, there's one thing that these episodes have made me realize. I need to get a fire extinguisher. I don't have one here at home, and it's something that could be as cheap as $20 and could save our lives. The problem with that is usually when you realize you don't have one, it's too late. So here's a reminder to all of you. Go to Amazon right now, go to wherever you do your shopping and click fire extinguisher for the home. And you know what? It can't hurt to have one. Also, as we know, I think you remember from school, the ones in institutions, they have to be inspected as well. They have the little signatures on there, and I don't know how often, but fire extinguishers need to be inspected as well. But again, what price is there on your life? So get a decent one. Don't skimp. We already said, too, before, stop, drop, and roll. Also, you want to isolate the fire. That's why you close the door in the room where the fire is, and you try and contain it to that room. You want to stop that fire from spreading as soon as possible because, as we said in the first part, it spreads really fast. We also mentioned smoke inhalation. This can be more lethal than the flames themselves. Carbon monoxide poisoning poses a significant risk during fires. And as the firefighter told us, you don't get 5 minutes walking through the smoke like that. Only Kurt Russell gets that in the movie Backdraft. What happens is individuals start to lose consciousness, and obviously it leads to death. You don't want to lose consciousness in a building that's on fire. You want to be really aware, really conscious, as much as possible. You want to have your eyes wide open and be ready to react. And the smoke can even cause severe disorientation. So just imagine getting lost in your own home. That's why they say it's always good to prepare an escape route. When I get on an airplane, the first thing I do is I look at where the exits are. Once the plane is in a bad situation, maybe it's too late. It takes a second of your time. Be aware of your surroundings. Know where the fire exits are. Know if there's a fire extinguisher. It takes a second, but that second could save your life in the future. Also, during a fire, the smoke can make a room appear pitch black. You lose spatial awareness. So even in a familiar building, you might have difficulty locating the fire exit. Again, that's why they do fire drills. Let's talk a little bit more about prevention. Some things that they recommend are fire alarms, installing automatic fire alarms. If you have more money, you can even install a sprinkler system. Usually companies install these more than in homes. Also, they say you should keep the fire extinguishers inside the bedrooms, and you should have one on every level of your home because you might not be able to make it down to the kitchen in the middle of a fire. So you've got to have fire alarms. We had them when I was growing up in my house, and better safe than sorry, as the expression goes. I think you say mejor prevenir que curar. Better safe than sorry. It's something that costs peanuts, but I think it's so much more valuable than what it costs. Also, you need to test the smoke alarms. You got to make sure they got fresh batteries if they run on batteries. I remember ours when I was a kid used to make a chirping sound. So, it wouldn't last more than 2 hours without getting a new battery because nobody wanted to hear that chirping sound. It's kind of like the sound, that chime, when you get in the car and you don't put on your seatbelt right away. It's reminding you, don't be stupid. Take a second and do what you have to do. Also, it's good to be aware. All family members in the house should have the same plan, the same exit plan. And it doesn't hurt to practice it once or twice. Believe me, you can turn it into an activity. Kids will love it. When you hear my alarm go off, we've got to try and get out of the house as fast as possible. And I'm going to time it. It's a game for them. We already said, too, sprinkler systems, but those are more common in high-rise buildings and in businesses. Let's take a look at some fire in pop culture. We've got some awesome songs that have to do with fire, and I'm sure you guys can add your own. But the first one that comes to mind is, you know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire. That's right, the Doors, Light My Fire. And from that song, we get the verb to light, encender. It's an irregular verb. Light, lit, lit. Also, you've got Jimi Hendrix. The song is called Fire. Let me stand next to your fire. Let me stand next to your fire. And Billy Joel, don't forget about him. He didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. He didn't start the fire. And what about Jerry Lee Lewis? You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. The kind of love drives a man insane. You broke my well. Oh, what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. And don't forget about Katy Perry's Baby, You're a Firework. Come on, show you what it's worth. Make 'em go, oh. All right, I admit it. I'm a Katy Perry fan. I'm also a Johnny Cash fan. And it's burn, burn, burn in a ring of fire, in a ring of fire. And then you've got The Cult, Firewoman. What an awesome song. That song will light up any party. Fire, wow, she is a wild fire. And so many others that don't just say fire, but they use the word burn. Ellie Goulding, we're gonna make it burn, burn, burn. Gonna make it burn, burn, burn. Or a classic from back in the day, I'm burning, I'm burning, I'm burning for you. I'm burning, I'm burning, I'm burning for you. And this is to really want somebody or something. I'm burning for it. Just remember, it's not burn, it's burn. Or barn. It's not Mr. Barnes, it's Mr. Burns.
Excellent.
That's an easy way to remember how to say the word sideburns, a word we looked at in our hair episode. Mr. Burns has sideburns. Tiene patillas. Can you think of any other fire songs or burning songs? I'm sure you can. Let me know on Patreon, and we can even make a little playlist if you're up for it. Some movies, Backdraft, which I'm sure in Spanish it had a different name. This is a movie with Kurt Russell, and he plays a firefighter, Backdraft. And from that movie title, we can get the word corriente, a draft. Is there a draft in here? Hay airecillo. But also a draft in a fire can fuel the flames. You've also got a movie called Playing with Fire, which is an idiomatic expression. I think yours is very similar in Spanish. You've got a classic called Towering Inferno. Then you've got fireproof, and from there, we can learn the word proof. Fireproof, bulletproof, soundproof, foolproof. And another movie is Only the Brave, Solo los Valientes. Again, I imagine they have their own translation in Spanish. But if you want to learn more about this vocabulary, what better way to get into that world than to watch a movie about it or a documentary? You can watch a documentary about one of the biggest fires in history. And that's a great segue. We're going to take a look at the biggest fires in history right now. And I can guarantee you'll be able to find a documentary on each and every one of these if you want to learn more. That's up to you. Where does your curiosity end? One of the most famous fires, or I should say infamous fires in the United States, was the Chicago Fire of 1871. A small fire ignited in a barn. Can you say that one? Van a quemar el granero. They're going to burn the barn. So yeah, a small fire ignited. This was in a barn on a street called DeKoven Street. 2 days and over $220 million in damage later, a huge chunk of the Windy City was destroyed, and an estimated 300 people lost their lives. I think we talked about this in the Chicago episode. But the city burned to the ground, despite the swift response by the Chicago Fire Department. The problem was the firefighters ended up in an incorrect location. Also, there were other factors. The area had been going through drought conditions. Also, at that time, the prominent building material, at least in Chicago, was wood. And we all know what happens when fire hits wood. It goes up in flames. And after that, Chicago rebuilt. As the phoenix does, it rose up from the ashes, and you won't find any wooden buildings in Chicago now. Another one is the Peshtigo Fire, which happened in October 1871. And this one is often overshadowed by the Great Chicago Fire. Why? You're not going to believe this. They took place on the same day. The Peshtigo Fire was recorded as history's most fatal wildfire ever. An estimated 1,500 to 2,500 people lost their lives in and around Peshtigo, Wisconsin. And there were many, many small fires that, because of the high winds, they all connected into this huge inferno. We use the word inferno when we're talking about fire as well. Pero el infierno is hell. But imagine that. 2,500 people lose their lives, and nobody's really paying attention because in Chicago, there was a fire, and Chicago gets more press. I guess there's one thing we could say. 1871 was a bad year in the United States as far as fires are concerned. Another one is the Cloquet Fire, which is one that took place in October 1918, and it was in Minnesota. The fire destroyed much of the county where it took place, County Escondado, and it's still the state's worst natural disaster in terms of how many people died within a 24-hour period. There were 450 casualties. 38 towns or communities were completely wiped off the map. So we don't think about that often. We think about the immediate damage to the homes. But what about the long-term damage? You lost everything. Many of you know your home is your nest egg. You put everything in there. And yeah, we have insurance, but still, it must be really, really tough to survive that, even if you don't get any physical burns, I mean. This next fire, we're going to go way back. In fact, we have an episode on the Holy Roman Empire. Well, this is the Great Fire of Rome. It took place in July 64 AD, and this inferno was believed to have started in shops. The winds were really high, and as many of you know, they say Emperor Nero started the fire. They say, though, historians being they say there's no direct evidence that Nero is to blame for the blaze. Oh, and we didn't look at that word. A blaze is a big fire. But as you know, the legend says he fiddled while Rome burned. While we do know he used the disaster to further his political agenda, we don't really know if he started the fire personally. But hundreds of people lost their lives, and 10 of Rome's 14 districts were heavily damaged. Another one is the Great Fire of London. This is a fire that took place in September of 1666, and it ignited in a bakery on Pudding Lane. Isn't that an appropriate name for a street with a bakery on it? Pudding Lane. I imagine the one that's perpendicular is Lollipop Lane. Well, anyhow, this fire decimated 4/5. That's right, 4/5 of medieval London. More than 13,000 houses were engulfed in the flames. 70,000 of the city's 80,000 inhabitants were left homeless. So only 10,000 people still had a home left. The other 70,000, that's 7 times the amount of people, were left without a home. The good thing is there weren't many deaths in the physical sense. But I guess losing your home, becoming homeless, that's a kind of death, isn't it? And speaking of the Great Fire of London, while it was devastating, it is believed to have contributed to ending the uncontrollable spread of the bubonic plague. Yeah, so I guess there's a silver lining, as we say. Every cloud has a silver lining. That means out of every negative situation, we can find a positive. So the bubonic plague was running rampant at that time. Nothing like a fire to destroy all the rats, fleas, and carriers of the plague. and obviously it slowed down the disease's transmission. So I highly recommend you take a look at a documentary on the Great Fire of London. I'm sure you'll find them on the BBC, even on YouTube for free. Now we're going to cross the pond and go over to Washington, D.C. In 1836, there was a fire at the Patent Office. This fire destroyed most of the U.S. patent records, including, you want to hear some irony here, the original patent for the classic fire hydrant. Oh, and the British call it a patent. We say patent, they say patent. Also, I told you I was going to tell you a little bit about the color of the flame. We've all seen different flames with different colors. Well, the color of the flame changes based on the oxygen levels that are present. A blue flame indicates that there's an abundance of oxygen, while a yellow flame signifies a low supply of oxygen. And as we said, it's used in rituals, and it has been since the beginning of time. The ancient Greeks used sunlight to ignite the original Olympic flame. This is a tradition that continues to this day. Anybody who watches the Olympics knows how important the torch is. They bring it around the world. Well, they used the old school method that we all used as a kid. You get a magnifying glass at the right angle, and you can start a fire. Don't try this at home, folks. Also, what's the deal with spontaneous combustion? Is this real? Can someone just blow up out of nowhere? Not really. Well, at least spontaneous human combustion. That remains a theoretical concept without too much scientific proof. But certain materials like newspapers, grass clippings, and things like this can undergo spontaneous autoignition. Again, the best way to avoid that is don't keep junk around your house. Throw out your trash. Also, did you know that human bones are remarkably resistant to destruction by fire? Even at temperatures between 1,100 degrees Celsius and 1,500 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's insane. They say that the bones in crematoriums remain partially intact. So they've got to really turn up that heat to get those bones down into dust, into ashes. Hey, and we didn't look at the word ashes before. Hey, that reminds me of a Metallica song. Another one, 2 in these episodes. Ash to ash, dust to dust, fade to black, but the memory remains. It's no secret that Metallica are obsessed with fire. In fact, their lead singer, James Hetfield, he burned part of his face and head in a pyrotechnical special effect on stage. Check it out. It's a true story. I don't remember what happened, but maybe it didn't go off on time or it went off too early and he was standing under it and the rest is history. Even Michael Jackson. So celebrities are not immune to it, folks. If you play with fire, you'll get burned. And speaking of idiomatic expressions, let's wrap up with a few. One that I love is to fight fire with fire. That means to use the same tactics that your opponent is using. Oh, they're going to do it that way, huh? We're going to fight fire with fire. Another one that I like to teach my students is fire away. And this is when somebody says, "Can I ask you a question?" This is when you say, fire away. Dispara. Dime. Shoot. You can say shoot or fire away. Let's see if you know this one. Liar, liar, pants on fire. That's right. Liar, liar, pants on fire. It's what we say when we're little kids and we don't believe somebody. They're telling us tall tales. Then you've got trial by fire as well. I think you say prueba de fuego. It's same idea in Spanish. One that I like is where there's smoke, there's fire. And that means if it looks like something is going to happen, it's probably going to happen. Don't ignore those early indicators. And don't burn bridges. I'm sure we took a look at this idiomatic expression in the Brooklyn Bridge episode. If you burn bridges, it means you leave some place on a bad note, with a bad taste in your mouth, as we say. But you've got to take it easy, amigos, because you don't want to burn out. If you burn the candle at both ends, you could burn out. And I think you even know this in Spanish, agotamiento, burnout. Many people suffer from burnout. And the other idiomatic expression is easy, to burn the candle at both ends. You're taking on too much at the same time. Well, folks, we've reached the end of today's episode, but I am glad to see you guys all fired up as motivados. I'm glad to see you with fire in your bellies. To have fire in your belly is to be passionate. Keep up the great work, and we'll see you in next week's episodes of FYI.